Good morning everyone. Today we will start class 12 subject accountancy chapter 4 solvency ratio. Okay. So solvency ratio is known as long term solvency. Long term solvency. Okay. So solvency of business means that the business is in a position to meet its obligation long term financial. So meet out the long term financial obligation. So solvency ratio again classify under four different manner. So first is debt equity ratio. Debt equity ratio equals to debt upon equity. Debt equity ratio equals to debt upon equity. Okay. So again, debt equals to long term borrowings plus long term provision. So debt equals to long term borrowings plus long term provisions. Long term borrowings plus long term provisions. Okay, that equals to long term borrowings plus long term provisions, and equity equals to share capital plus reserve and surplus. So equity oblique shareholder fund. So equity oblique shareholder fund equals to share capital plus reserve and surplus. Share capital plus reserve and surplus. Okay, clear? Second is total assets to debt ratio. Second portion is total assets to debt total assets to debt ratio total assets upon long term debt. So total assets upon debt ब्रैकेट में लॉन्ग टर्म डेट. ओके, टोटल असेट्स अपॉन डेट. ओके, सो लॉन्ग टर्म डेट. क्लियर? थर्ड रेशियो इज डेट इक्वल्स टू अगेन long term borrowings plus long term provision. So debt equals to again long term borrowings plus long term provision. Okay, yes or no? Clear? So first is debt equity ratio, second is total assets to debt ratio, third point is proprietor ratio. Point number third is proprietor ratio equals to shareholder fund upon total assets. Shareholder fund upon total assets. Okay, so shareholder fund equals to share capital plus reserve and surplus. Okay, so next point, fourth number ratio, interest coverage ratio. And fourth is point is fourth interest coverage ratio. Okay, so formula is net profit before interest and tax upon interest on long term debts. Net profit before interest and tax. Net profit before interest and tax upon interest on long term debt. Upon interest on long term debt. Net profit before interest and tax upon long term debt. Clear? So four ratio given: debt equity ratio, total assets to debt ratio, proprietor ratio, and interest coverage ratio. Okay, clear? So discuss the question in this series. Okay, so write down calculate proprietor ratio question. Calculate proprietor ratio, comma, total assets to debt ratio, total assets to debt ratio, comma, debt to equity ratio. Third is debt to equity ratio. Okay, so in this question calculate proprietor ratio, total assets to debt ratio, and debt to equity ratio. So total assets is 12 lakh, total assets equals to 12 lakh. Okay, current assets 5 lakh, current assets equals to 5 lakh, capital employed 10 lakh, capital employed 10 lakh, our working capital is 1 lakh, working capital equals to 1 lakh. Okay, clear? So first is proprietor ratio, proprietor fund upon total assets. First is answer proprietor ratio equals to shareholder fund, proprietor fund upon total assets. Proprietor fund upon total assets. Clear? Proprietor ratio equals to proprietor fund upon total assets. So proprietor fund is again calculate working note. So working note is question. So first of all, we are calculate current liabilities. Okay, so current assets minus working capital. So current liabilities equals to current liabilities equals to current assets minus working capital. Current assets is given question 5 lakh rupees. Okay, and working capital is 1 lakh rupees. Okay, so current liability is 4 lakh rupees. Okay, students, and debt equals total debts minus current liabilities. Debt equals to total debt minus current liabilities. Okay, so total debts in question 12 lakh. Total debts in this question 12 lakh minus current liability is 4 lakh. Okay, current liability is 4 lakh. So debt equals to 8 lakh rupees. Okay, so we are calculating current liabilities and debt. So total assets equals to capital employed plus current liability. Total assets equals to capital employed total assets equals to capital employed plus current liability. Capital employed plus current liability. Okay, so capital employed is 10 lakh rupees. 10 lakh rupees plus current liability is 4 lakh. So total assets is 14 lakh rupees. Clear? Total assets is 14 lakh rupees. Proprietor fund, equity equals to proprietor fund oblique total liability minus total debts. Proprietor fund equals to proprietor total liability minus total debts. Total liabilities minus total debts. Proprietor fund equals to total liabilities minus total debts. So total liability is 14 lakhs. Total liability is 14 lakh minus total debts equals to, okay, so first calculate current liabilities, second calculate debts, third calculate total assets 14 lakh and proprietor fund or equity. Okay, so calculating one by one. So proprietor fund equals to 2 lakh upon में 14 lakh, तो 2 lakh upon में 14 lakh into 100. Okay, so proprietor ratio equals to 14.929%. 14.29%. Second, total assets to debt ratio. Second is total assets to debt ratio. So total assets to debt ratio equals to total assets upon debt 14 lakh. Okay, 14 upon 8 lakh, 14 lakh upon 8 lakh. Okay, so dividing 1.75. Third is debt to equity ratio. Debt to equity ratio equals to debt upon equity. Debt upon equity. Okay, debt upon equity, so debt upon 8 lakh upon 2 lakh, that equals to 8 lakh, and equity 2 lakh. Okay, so 4. Clear? So calculating debt ratio, total assets to debt ratio, and debt to equity ratio. So write on